Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Water Cooler, the world's most statistically average sports podcast. Brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network for professionals, featuring 387 shows with a stable of former players and local media personalities. Check us out today at Believe.com. That's BLEAV. My name is Ryan Saba, the most electrifying voice in sports information. And with me, as always...
Yo, it's me. It's Lukey C, a.k.a. the Crockpot, fresh off a week off. I'm ready to get back into it. What are we talking about today?
We did take a week off. Sorry. You know, you guys are probably going through a little bit of little sickness, a little dope sick from the boys. Today, golf and basketball. We got the PGA Championship coming up this week, so can't have a major golf event without some insight from the Water Cooler's resident golf experts. And then we're going to talk. The NBA season's over. It's time. You know, it's time for us to talk about the NBA playoffs. We'll give some thoughts on the play-in tournament. We'll talk a little bit about some of these first-round matchups. We got to do an update on the Water Cooler NBA Challenge because now that officially starts. And then we'll make some picks. So before we get into the show, a word from our sponsor. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. BetOnline has you covered for all the news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bets, and it's free to sign up. What do you got this week?
So I'm just going to give you just a little taste of what I'm thinking about, and then we'll get into some golf picks later. But I'm going Wednesday night, play-in game. Give me King James minus 4.5.
Shock.
Look, man. If Steph is gonna if they can win this game, it's gonna be a game where Steph has like 54 points.
He's gonna score. He's gonna have to go Kobe and score 81.
Yeah, and have 13 threes and whatever. So I don't see that happening. Lakers are just too good. I mean,
so what is it? Lakers minus
4.5. Yeah,
I like that.
Minus 4.5 at home against the Golden State Warriors. What do you got?
I didn't pick anything this week. I was heavy. You know, we'll talk about some of the odds for some of these teams to win the title and things like that. I might put some credits down here tomorrow, but I'm still doing a little analysis there. So I don't have any official picks this week. Are you done? You got any golf stuff?
I do. We'll talk about it here when we talk about this golf stuff.
Sounds good. So head to betonline.ag with your computer or mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, your online sports book experts. Let's jump right into the golf. PGA Championships this week. It's majors week. Like it's a major week, like you said. For the non-golf fans out there, where is it? Give me your thoughts on the course. And then talk about some of the guys that you like this week. And talk about some of the guys you don't like.
Yeah, so the course it's Kiawah, the ocean course at Kiawah Island in South Carolina, about 45 minutes from Charleston. It's a Pete Dye design, who's probably the most famous or second most famous course designer in the world. But
he's got a couple around here.
He does. I've played them. They are ridiculous.
I've played them. Does he have any besides Oak Hollow and the Cardinal?
Not in Greensboro, but he's got several in the state.
Those fucking courses, man. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, the Cardinal is the sister course of Bob Ross designed Sedgefield, where they play the PGA Tour event. So really nice courses in this part of the country. But yeah, they're at Kiawah at the ocean course. This course has the most oceanfront holes in North America with 10 because the way it's positioned on the island. So there's 10 oceanfront holes, which is the most in North America. It hosted the 2012 PGA Championship where my guy, Rory McIlroy, won by 8 strokes. This course was built in 1991 for the Ryder Cup. They learned that while they were building it, Pete learned that there's no prevailing wind. So the wind changes drastically each day. It could change every single day. You could have a long tee shot one day with the wind and be right into the wind the next day and have to lay up twice before you get to the green. So they made these really long greens where you can move the tees up and back. And they made these huge 50 and 60 yard greens so that they could play it to the way the wind was expected to blow that day, which means, you know, if that stuff starts swirling, anything can happen and you could see some big numbers. The weather's looking good. It's supposed to be high 70s, low 80s all weekend. There's not much rain there's no rain in the forecast, just low chances. But let's talk some guys you like. Have you looked at it at all? Do you see anything you like?
I haven't, man. I got so much shit going on in my personal life.
I feel you.
We're going to the Outer Banks this weekend. We're going to Duck. So I'm prepping for that. My parents are actually going to Charleston. That's why I thought it was funny when you it's my parents' 41st wedding anniversary. So shout out to Bud and Linda. Happy 41st. So, and then obviously, I got some stuff going on at work. I just got a little bit of a promotion at work, so I'm doing double duty at work. So it's funny. Last week, us taking a break actually worked perfect for me because I'm sort of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, doing two jobs right now, not doing either to the best of my capability, which is a little frustrating, but that all ends here in a couple of weeks. Anyway, enough about me. I haven't even really looked at it. The one thing I'll say is this, and maybe I'm completely off. Dustin Johnson's from South Carolina. This is probably a little bit of a home course for him, or a relatively home course for him. So I would expect DJ to play well this week. You talked about Rory winning by 8 strokes a couple years back.
Jordan's a win in Charlotte.
Jordan Spieth has been playing much, much better lately. So those are probably 3 guys that I would look at. So there's my light analysis.
All right, I'll give you some picks, some of the guys that I like. I'm going to start with my top 10s. I like to bet top 10s. I like to bet my guys. I like to ride with these guys. The numbers are usually not great for those guys at the top, so I like to go a little bit farther down. I'm going to start with Mark Leishman. He's plus 550. I think he's got a good setup. He's been in good form since the return. He kind of struggled early on, but he's getting into his groove. And I actually mentioned him for the Masters podcast, and I believe he finished in the top 10 there.
He was close to finishing the top 5, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He gave it a run. He was up there on Sunday. He was up there on Saturday, and then he fell back a little bit on Sunday, but he gave it a good run. So I like him for top 10 this week. Also, I'm going to go with Victor Hovland at plus 3,000. I'm sorry,
you're not going to call him by the nickname you've given him?
Big Dick Vic.
It's weird.
Big Dick Vic. Yeah, he's I like him. I really like him to win this week. It's just I'm not sure that you're going to see a first-time major winner at this course just because of what I mentioned before. I think you're probably going to get an elite winner, probably a guy that's won maybe before. But yeah, give me Victor Hovland at plus 225. And my last pick is going to be I'm going to go with Patrick Cantlay at plus 400 for top 5.
Who won the PGA last year?
It was Colin Morikawa.
What's his number?
His number for top 10 is plus 300.
He's been playing well. I like him, man. He's kind of like
his putting. It leaves a lot to be desired.
What's he rated in the world right now? Like he's top 10, right?
Number 6 in the world.
I like him this week. I like DJ number 1, but sort of my dark horse. I guess picking the number 6 player in the world really isn't a dark horse, but
he really hasn't been playing
like
well, to be honest with you. But it's not a terrible pick.
He won. He didn't. It was not that long ago that he won, right?
It's been a little while.
Okay. I'm still going Colin Morikawa as my dark horse.
I like it. Now, as I mentioned, I think you're going to get an elite winner. So certainly a guy that you mentioned, DJ, not really on him this week, but it wouldn't surprise me if he won. He's just too damn good. And like you mentioned, it's a little bit of a home game for him. Kind of surprised that Rory McIlroy was a favorite here, along with Patrick Reed at BetOnline is a favorite. So I like Rory. I mean, obviously I'm a huge fan. He's probably my number 1 guy in the non-Tiger division, but I don't love him at 14. I really like Xander Schauffele at plus 20. I know I mentioned a first-time winner, so if you're gonna get one, I think it's gonna be a caliber of player like Xander Schauffele, who is ranked number 4 in the world right now. So he's just one of those elite players. And the guys that I mentioned certainly wouldn't surprise me if they won, but I'm not going to bet at them. I'm like stick with them at top 10s. But yeah, give me Xander Schauffele for the win. That's my pick.
I like it. One other thing here. EA Sports took the opportunity today to on IG post. We talked about a few weeks ago that they put an announcement out that they're bringing EA Sports Golf back. It looks like EA Sports Golf will not only have this event, so it will have the PGA Championship, it will have the Masters, but it will also have the PGA Championship, and it will have this course as well. So just a little tease from EA Sports as they continue their long game with a lot of these sports games that are coming out to kind of consistently and continuously tease them and keep the fans excited. So definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait.
All right, let's get into basketball. We haven't talked basketball in a while. We've been immersed in NFL offseason, free agency, everything leading up to the draft itself, and then a recap. The draft recap was our last episode. The regular season's over. The play-in tournament starts tomorrow. Tomorrow you have the Eastern Conference play-in tournament. You have number 10 Charlotte at number 9 Indiana. That's the 6:30 game on TNT. And then you have number 8 Washington at number 7 Boston. That's the 9:00 game. And then Wednesday night we have on ESPN, we have the Western Conference play-in, number 10 San Antonio at number 9 Memphis, and then number 8 Golden State Warriors at the defending champion Los Angeles Lakers at 10 o'clock. For those of you that don't know, the play-in tournament, it's very interesting. And we'll get into it in a minute. The winner of the 8-7 matchup advances. That's the 7 seed. And then the loser plays the winner of the 10-9 game, and that's single elimination as well, right? And then whoever wins that gets the 8 seed. So it's interesting. There's been some.
I think it's a really funky format.
It is a funky format. Mixed reviews. I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Like I said, it's a funky format with the way the 7 and the 8 seed have to play each other. But I guess they're trying to, that team, the 2 teams that actually qualified for the real playoffs only have to win 1 game to get in, which is kind of unfair to the loser of that game, which will be in the Western Conference, the Golden State Warriors. But they'll get a shot, or maybe Ja's going to get his shot at after they blew their game on Sunday. But the format itself, I kind of like the idea of a play-in. I understand they play 82 games, and that's the way it should be. And this year, not much would have changed. It's still except for the Memphis Golden State game on Sunday was going to be an elimination game. That loser of that team would have just missed the playoffs instead of getting a chance to get back in. But overall, I kind of like the idea, especially in a shortened season. So we only had 72 games. I don't know how long this thing has legs. LeBron came out and said that whoever decided to do this should be fired. Usually his word carries a lot of weight with the association.
He only cares for one reason.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. If he was sitting there at the 4 or 5 seed or the 1 or 2 seed where they probably should be, you probably don't hear a word about it one way or another from him. But, So his word usually carries some weight, though. But personally, I like it. I think like these games, we're getting 2 extra days of playoff games before the playoffs actually start. And it's kind of cool to see the NBA in single elimination mode. The games themselves, I'm kind of interested in the Wizards and the Celtics matchup. The Celtics are kind of walking dead at this point, but the Wizards are a little exciting. All their games seem to come down to the last 2 minutes. There's a play here or a play there that makes you kind of scratch your head. So they're entertaining to watch. And of course, on Wednesday, I mean, this is going to be the highest rated game of any of the next round, to be sure, is the Warriors and Lakers on Sunday night. The NBA they literally just hit the lottery getting those 2 teams for a play-in game. So I like the format, and it'll be fun to watch. What do you think?
I like when they do this kind of stuff. Honestly, I wish they would do more stuff like this in the other sports. They've talked about some weird stuff with baseball last year in extra innings. They started a guy on second base, which was met with mixed reviews. I enjoy that. I enjoy some of the things that they've talked about with the NFL. Instead of an onside kick or whatever, you're 4th and 10 from 15 from your 30, from your own 30. And if you don't get it, then the team has the ball there. I like that kind of stuff. I think it's exciting. I like the way that they're trying to get creative and change the sport. To be honest with you, I like what they're doing here in the NBA, and I really wish they would take it a step further and just get rid of the lottery altogether, or maybe do an abbreviated version of the lottery and do some sort of a consolation tournament for draft position to just keep teams engaged, get away from the tank. I enjoy it. Right now the NBA is, man, there's only about 15 teams, 20 teams. 2/3 of the league is really engaged. And then there's just the other 10, 12 teams that, man, just, it's not good for the fans. I don't think it's good for the sport. NBA viewership's down. It depends on who you talk to. They'll tell you different reasons for why. I'm probably of the opinion that I believe that viewership's down because sport's a little watered down right now. It's not really competitive with the lower end teams. So I would like to see some more innovative ideas in all sports to try to. We don't have to do things the same way we've been doing them since 1927. Like, we can try other stuff. We can try things that'll make the sport more exciting, make it more current. 18 to 45, man, do shit that makes the 18 to 45 crowd want to watch the sport more. And it's an opportunity. This is one of those things that actually worked. I like it. I understand why LeBron doesn't like it, but to your point, he may not like it, but a lot of people are going to be staying up to watch that 10 o'clock start game. I probably won't be. I won't be able to get through it, but I'll damn sure watch the first half of it. And to your point, Washington, Boston, that's going to be a fun game. I mean, obviously Jaylen Brown's out. That's going to be a fun game. Charlotte, Indiana, LaMelo Ball. This is an opportunity to get a young guy that fans are excited about into the playoffs. Year 2,
legit superstar,
right? Year 2 of Zion still hasn't played a playoff game, right? Year 1 of LaMelo, he's going to get an opportunity to play a playoff game under normal format. He wouldn't. Ja Morant, same thing. This is year 2 for him. He's going to get an opportunity to potentially, earn a berth. I like it for the younger teams that are up and coming. It gives those fringe teams a reason late in the season to keep pushing, which makes things more competitive down at the bottom. So I like it.
I totally agree. The only thing I'll say is I think that just the existence of the play-in, to your point, kept a lot of those teams at the bottom from tanking. The only teams, if you're looking at it at the end of the season, I mean, Toronto, they were in it until that COVID thing kind of hit them and wiped them out. And I mean, up until the trade deadline, they didn't end up trading Lowry. I wish they would have for their sake, but that's when they decided, okay, we'll just go ahead and shut it down.
I wish they would have, because I would love, because they would have traded him to Philly, and I would love
to watch
been in LA. Ben Simmons and Kyle Lowry put James Harden and Kyrie Irving in the torture chamber for 7 games.
So, but yeah, that would have been fun. I think Kyrie can handle Kyle Lowry, though. We've seen it several times before. But then the teams at the bottom there, the Cleveland, Orlando, Detroit, they were all out of it. Minnesota, they're just not good. I don't want to say they're tanking though, because if they get a top 3 pick, that's the only way. I guess that's the only way that they get to keep the pick. But I just don't think they're good. And then Oklahoma City and Houston definitely were tanking. But Sacramento, man, they were dying to get that 10 spot. They wanted in the play-in more than anybody.
And that's fun, man. I agree.
I totally
to see. Agree. You want these young teams to have an opportunity. So,
and before we move on, I think you mentioned it. Ja Rule in his his second year here. Ja in his second, he's got playing experience. So let's see how important that is.
Yes, he does. All right, so first round matchups. What are you looking forward to? And you're obviously going to have to project here a little bit. Actually, you know what? Let's take a step back. Who do you like? Let's get some picks out of the way here.
Just want to do it right out of the gate.
Well, let's do some picks on the play-in. Who do you like to be the 7 and the 8 in the Eastern Conference? and then I'll go, and then we'll do Western Conference.
Okay, so as you mentioned, the 7 seed plays the 8 seed, and the 9 seed plays the 10 seed. I don't actually have the seeds in front of me, but we got Hornets, Pacers, and Wizards, Celtics.
Charlotte's 10, Indiana's 9, Washington's 8, Boston's 7.
Got it. I'm taking the Wizards to beat the Celtics and take the 7 seed.
I agree. The Jaylen Brown thing hurts for them, and like you said, man, Boston's just kind of been. It's just a Walking Dead situation, and there's a lot of. And I kind of predicted this. I don't want to pat myself on the back. There's a lot of, has Brad Stevens lost the team? Is the same old halftime speech not working anymore with him? It's going to be interesting to see what happens there in the offseason, especially if they don't advance.
And the funny thing is like, I don't even think it's a Brad Stevens issue. Like, the guys are just soft, man. They doesn't even look like they care. And I guess you can say that that's on the coach to get his guys motivated, but I mean, come on. We've seen with teams before that are talented and just unmotivated. You know, maybe we can start looking at the roster instead of the guy at the front.
Well, I agree with you, you know, and I also agree with a gentleman that has a daily show by himself on Fox Sports, who I listened to today, who generally I don't agree with his opinions, but he had a really good point. When you look at the NBA, if your best player isn't better than the other team's best player, you generally don't have an opportunity to win the series unless it's like a generational talent like a LeBron or something like that, right? So when you take a look at Boston, Tatum's their best player. He's not better than Giannis. He's not better than Embiid. You know, he's not better than a lot of, Julius Randle, he's better. He's better than some of those guys. But when you look at the top tier teams in the East, he's not better than Jimmy Butler. He might be more talented than Jimmy Butler, but I think Jimmy Butler performs better. So fair. It's like, man, they're just in a position right now where their best player isn't better in their own. And let's not even talk about the West, right? So if you just want to talk about the East, their best player is he's maybe the 4th, 5th, 6th best player in the conference. So that's a tough situation for them.
Brooklyn has at least 2 and probably 3 guys better than
2.
At least 2.
No, 2.
Probably 3.
I think it's 2.
It's 3. But anyway, so yeah. And then we got I want to take the Hornets badly. I do.
I like them.
I don't think they can beat the Pacers.
I like them. So I think the Hornets are going to win.
I hope you're right, but
then they got to turn around and beat Boston, right? Yep, and that's I'm more worried about them beating Boston in sort of a do or die situation than beating Indiana.
I'm doing it though. I'm putting the Pacers in. I'm saying the Celtics go 0-2 and miss the playoffs.
Woo. All right. I like Washington and Boston to get in there. I like the Hornets in Boston to play on what? Thursday.
I think it's Thursday.
It'll be Thursday, yeah. And I like Boston to get in it as the 8th seed. So let's look at the West. San Antonio's 10. They're playing at Memphis, and then the Warriors at the Lakers. Who you like here?
I think the Lakers, as I mentioned already, are going to go ahead and get that 7 seed. So not much to talk about there. And then this is a fun matchup, but I'm going with Ja to win that game with his playing experience from last year in the bubble, and then man, a rematch of that game on Sunday. That game could have gone either way. Steph had 46 points, but it took him 36 shots to get there. I think they got a little bit lucky with Dylan Brooks fouling out late because they were putting the clamps on. I don't want to say putting the clamps on him, but they were making Steph work. You know, he didn't shoot the ball great. So, God, I want to take the Grizzlies so bad, but I won't. I'll stick with the Warriors for the 8th seed.
Well, I think the Lakers and the Warriors are both going to get in. I do. I don't think the Warriors are going to beat the Lakers. I don't. I think in a 1-game format, even though the Lakers are kind of limping into the playoffs here, but I do like the Warriors and the Grizzlies to play on Friday. I don't know, man. Steph's just, man, that dude put on a crazy display this year. I'm really excited to see that team next year with Clay back. You know, maybe I don't know.
They
bringing
got
up
Minnesota's pick, which is probably going to be, it's guaranteed to be in the top 7. So,
and I think they have some salary cap as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But we're talking about this year. We're not talking about next year. I like the Lakers to win on Wednesday, advance, play Phoenix in the first round. And then I like the Warriors to beat Memphis, who obviously I think Memphis will beat San Antonio. That's San Antonio. It's time with San Antonio, I think, to just strip it down, figure it out, trade DeRozan or let him walk. I'm not sure what his contract situation is. I know he's close. San Antonio is just kind of, that's being a 10 seed in a play-in situation for that organization just seems a little weird. So I think you and I see it the same way. Did you say you thought Memphis would advance?
no, I stuck with the Warriors.
Yeah, you stuck with the Warriors. All right. So now that we've kind of talked about who we thought the first round matchups, the 7 and 8 seed looks like, tell me which matchups you're looking forward to the most in the first round.
Certainly Milwaukee and Miami. I think that's fun. You know, you got 2 stars there in Giannis and Jimmy Butler, and Miami pulled the upset last year in the bubble and was able to knock them out. I think that was only a 5-game series, if I remember correctly. No, you know what? I think they won 2 games. So Milwaukee won 2 games. So a chance here at redemption for Giannis and crew with the new look with Holiday and the moves that they made this offseason. So I think that's a really fun series. But the rest in the first, New York and Atlanta could be fun. Could be fun to watch.
That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to have much impact on the rest of the playoffs.
It's
not.
But
that could be very, very fun.
It's not.
Certainly, Golden State and Utah is fun because Utah's it's weird. I know it's a 1-8 matchup, but they kind of both have this "no one gave us a chance" thing going for them because Utah's been going through it all year. Like no one really believes that they're the best team in the conference.
I don't think the casual fan realizes how good Utah actually is.
Yeah, I think they're good. I think they are good, and I think that they probably handle Golden State, but there's some intrigue there.
No doubt.
And then Denver and Portland, obviously, it would be, Jokic and Dame just going at it. I know that Denver lost Jamal Murray, but somehow kept pace, and it didn't really seem to slow him. Maybe not somehow. Maybe it's because Nikola Jokic is really, really good at basketball.
And Porter, Michael Porter's
stepped up.
He's emerging in a similar fashion to what Jamal Murray did last year. Obviously not as dramatically because Jamal Murray was dropping 50 in the bubble, but Porter's been sick the last 2 months.
Yeah, he's been good. And I mean, I'm not a huge fan, and you know this, but just Dame in the playoffs, something's going to pop off. So
I am a huge fan of Big Game Dame, and it is always Dame time. Shout out to J. Cole for putting our boy Dame on his new album, The Off Season, Cole World, Fayetteville. I am. Have you listened to any of that?
Mm-mm.
You put it. I-95, the
right.
number 1 song on the album.
All right,
It opens up. It opens up in Cameron. He's got Cameron talking. It's fucking disgusting. Anyways, look, I'm looking forward to Denver, Portland. You know me. I love Dame. I watch him all the time. He's, Dame and Luka are my 2 favorite players that aren't LeBron right now. Dame's been one of my favorite players for quite some time. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've always sort of been a Jokic guy. I've always sort of been a Denver supporter. You know that. I mean, I like the team. I think that this is a real opportunity for Portland to kind of sneak up and maybe surprise them. Look, I'm really looking forward to the Lakers in the Phoenix series for a different reason than I think you think I'm going to say. I think it's very good. The Lakers, for them to make a deep run and possibly win another championship, I think having a team like Phoenix in the first round is going to be outstanding for them. I feel like if, the situation that they've gone through this season with injuries and AD and LeBron not playing, for them to have sort of a cupcake in the first round, I don't think does them any justice. I think putting them against a team like Phoenix, where you got a guy who can score in bunches in Booker, they're going to have to figure him out. Night in and night out. Chris Paul is going to keep that team engaged. think the Lakers are going to win. I think it's a great matchup for them. And I'm just going to watch because you're going to see the Lakers just kind of, I think they may look a little sloppy there in the first game, but by the time they get to game 4 or 5, maybe it goes 6, right? By the time they get to the back end of that series, I think you're really going to see that Lakers team start to hit on all cylinders. I think it's good for them for their championship aspirations, and that's why I like that series. And then Washington versus Brooklyn, similar. I like this Westbrook Beal combination. Like Bradley Beal has turned into one of the most prolific scorers in the NBA, where he could score 53 times in this series.
That's true.
Right. And Westbrook could have, 6 triple doubles.
Especially with the way Brooklyn plays D.
You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting because that's sort of been the knock on them all year. Harden's hurt. Last night against the Cavs, he was sitting on the sideline drinking smoothies. This team's only played the 3 superstars, Irving, Durant, and Harden, have only played 8 games together. And I think this is going to be a good matchup for them because they're going to have to kind of figure out 2 guys early on. You can't stop one or the other. You're going to have to try to find a way to kind of contain both of them. If Russ gets a triple double, you don't want him to get a 30-point, 15 rebound, 15 assist triple double, right? You want him to go like 14, 11, and 10, right? And then you want to try to hold Beal in the mid to low 30s. So I really like this series for the same reason. I'm excited about seeing all 3 of these games. And one of the other ones that you talked about, I didn't put it on the list, but I agree with you wholeheartedly, it's the Knicks and in Atlanta. I just think that it's going to be fun to watch.
2 fun young teams,
young players. New York fans get excited about the Knicks, which I love. And, Twitter will be fun. You love watching that Atlanta team. This is a team that I've kind of the last couple of years been a little prematurely expecting them to kind of break through, and they're the 5 seed this year. So they have, the East isn't that great, but a lot of good first round matchups. Who's Dallas playing? Dallas is playing
Clippers.
That's a great one too.
Yeah. I just think that the Clippers, they're just a really good matchup for Dallas. And Luka, he's gonna win a game. He'd probably find a way to win. Find a way to win 2. But the Clippers, the way they tanked down the stretch, they wanted this matchup. So, but like you said, it could be a good one. They had their hands full with them last year. I think he gave them 2 L's.
All right, what's next? The Bet Online favorites. Right now, the Nets are the favorite. I think they're plus 220, maybe.
Plus 210. I just pulled it up.
Plus 210. The Lakers are next, I believe.
And we'll get into our official picks and everything in a minute here. But do you see any value on the board? And I'll tell you, I do right away. The one that jumps out to me is Philly at plus 750 to win the title.
Yeah, I definitely like Philly. Hold on, I have this. Let me pull it up. I definitely like Philly a little bit further down the board. I like Utah at plus 700. Those are probably. I like the Clippers at plus 600. I think those next 3, after you get past the Nets at 210 and the Lakers at plus 375, I like the next 3. I like the Clippers, I like the Jazz, and I like Philadelphia. So the Clippers are plus 600, Utah's plus 700, and Philadelphia's plus 750. I think all 3 of those teams, honestly, Utah's a number 1 seed, Philly's a number 1 seed. The Clippers are a 4 seed, but obviously they've been in championship or bust mode for the last couple of years here. Those are teams with championship aspirations that have some, there's some pretty nice juice on that.
So do you think that they're better than either of the top 2 teams that are listed? Not necessarily whether they could beat them in a series, but do you think they're a better team than the Lakers or the Nets, who BetOnline has number 2 and number 1 respectively?
Look, I think if I'm sitting in the desert out there in Nevada and I put the Lakers or the Nets at plus 600, I stand to lose a lot of money, right? These odds are just it's I think they got to make some other picks a little bit more tantalizing because
No, I get it. And it's not like there's a ton of juice on either of them. The Nets are sitting at plus 210, the Lakers are at 375. So But so you think that those are probably, just looking at it, not necessarily who you're picking or anything, but do you think
Yeah.
that those are the two best teams going in?
I don't. I don't think one of those teams is going to make the finals. So, and we'll save that here for a little bit, but I
No.
don't. And honestly, a little bit of a spoiler alert. I don't believe either of those teams is going to win the championship. So,
All right, so I got an idea who you're taking, but let's get to it then. Well, and yeah, let's get to it. Let's get to it.
do you, let's go through the water cool. Let's go through the NBA
The
challenge
challenge.
and make sure our teams are set before we do anything else.
All right, so just to reset, I have the
been a
Lakers.
while.
Yeah, the Lakers and the Nets. I made a midseason trade and traded in
Jesus.
the Mavs, unfortunately, for the Blazers.
And hold on. And for those of you that didn't listen to our NBA, we picked these teams for the most part prior to the season even starting. So Luke really, he got lucky, with the Nets trading for James Harden. I mean, you didn't know they were going to trade for James. That wasn't even really, I didn't believe that then. So you got the Lakers and the Nets. Who else you got? So.
You don't even have one of those teams picked to go to the finals.
I don't. So I'm not.
I don't think either one's going to win, but
I'm not disappointed. I'm happy with what I have.
But yeah, and then I have, unfortunately, I have the Celtics and never checked back in to trade them in because
you
I
can
just
do
kept
it
thinking-
right now.
I kept thinking they're going to be fine.
You can
And then-
do it right now.
I actually made 2 trades in the season, and I had drafted the Blazers. If you remember, if you listened to that show, just to spite Saba, because I knew he wanted the Blazers, so I took him before he could. And I ended up trading them in for the Phoenix Suns, the number 2 seed Phoenix Suns.
Mm.
So unfortunately, they're going to have to end up playing the Lakers, but I think
That's a
that
tough
was
one.
that was a good trade. And Saba has the Bucks, the Clippers, the Jazz, the Sixers, and the Nuggets. So
That's a fucking
overall, your team is better, but I have the champion, so it doesn't matter.
okay. So do you want to trade out Boston for somebody?
I mean, you have everybody else.
Dallas. I mean, I guess Dallas would be
Swap
Maybe-
them out and get the Mavs back in here.
maybe. I don't know. I think that's probably or Miami.
Maybe I
right?
go rogue and take Miami.
If you think Miami has, if you think they can do it 2 years in a row and beat Milwaukee, I think those are probably the 2 teams that you would look at.
I don't think they can, but I think they have a better chance of getting to the next round. So
That's the thing. You're playing
yeah.
the odds here. Like which team has the best chance to move to proceed?
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Heat.
So you're trading Boston for Miami.
Yeah.
And I am going to pick up the Celtics. No, I'm just kidding.
After you talk me into it. Yeah, you're pretty set over there. You got a lot of teams that'll compete in the
So I
conference
had
finals.
Miami and I traded them for Utah, which then prompted you to trade for the Suns, which, those ended up being pretty good trades because I pulled that out of fucking thin air. So you're going Miami, right?
Yep, Miami over Boston.
Okay. So basically, outside of the Lakers and the Nets, it's been a little bit of a merry-go-round for you.
A little bit.
And for me,
You made
it's,
one trade. You made the one trade.
well, you know me. I mean, I'm pretty good at this game. We learned. So just a
Pretty
review,
easy when it's a snake draft.
review how the scoring works again.
So yeah, to review the scoring, it's going to be each team gets 1 point per win, per playoff win, and then you get bonus points for each round that you advance. If you advance to the second round, it's 3 points. If you advance to the conference finals, it's 5 points. If you make it to the finals, your squad gets 7 points. And when the Lakers win the championship, they'll get 10 points.
Okay. I like it. Just so everybody remembers the scoring format. All right. Enough of the foreplay. Get into the nitty gritty. Let me hear your picks. Oh, I got a couple rapid fires for you that apply here.
Okay.
More likely to reach the conference finals. I just want your opinion. This isn't based on odds or anything. Utah or Phoenix, which is pretty easy, right? Because the Phoenix Suns play the Lakers in the first round. So
Right. I
So you-
understand.
Who do you think's more likely to reach the conference finals? The Jazz or the Suns?
I mean, the Jazz.
Okay. I would probably agree. I think you and I are probably on the same page. As I said, I think Phoenix is a really good matchup for the Lakers in the first round. I think they're going to test them. And I like Phoenix. I like what that team's done, man. They're a fun team. It ain't going to happen. They are very unlucky. They are the only team that really has suffered. Nobody suffered more from the Lakers injuries than them. Not even the Lakers.
That's true.
Okay, and the same question on the other side. Who do you think's more likely to reach the conference finals, Milwaukee or Philly?
Oh man, that's a good one. Well, I'm going to go Philly because they're missing. They're gonna end up playing the 8 seed, whether it's one of the 4 play-in tournament teams that we mentioned: Boston, Washington, Indiana, or Charlotte. So I don't think that that's going to be a problem there. And then they're going to get the winner of the New York and Atlanta series. So I'm going to go with Philly.
I agree. All right, so let's hear your picks. Let's hear what you got. Eastern Conference, Western Conference Finals. Who you got ECF? Who you got WCF?
All right, Eastern Conference Finals. I really like Milwaukee, and I know that they just beat Brooklyn in back-to-back games, but guys were out for Brooklyn, but who's to say that they won't be out for games in that series? But I just think that they're the 2 best teams. It's Philly and Brooklyn, so that's who I got in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I have Philly and Brooklyn as well. Who do you got in the Western Conference?
Western Conference Finals, I got this pesky, this wily, just up-and-coming hungry team, the 7 seed, Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference Finals after go ahead and taking care of this play-in business, and then I think that they'll handle the Suns. And I think that they're going to meet the LA Clippers, the team that has been avoiding them, tanking the last week just so they wouldn't have any chance of playing them in that 6-3 if the Lakers were able to get it. But so, yeah, I'm going to go with the Battle of Los Angeles in the Western Conference.
So I made a proclamation last year that I would never go against LeBron James again. I did.
So what are we doing here?
I'm taking the Utah Jazz, and I will never, like I said, go against LeBron James. I'm taking the LA Lakers, defending champion LA Lakers, to play the Utah Jazz in the Western Conference Finals.
I like it. So, all right. So we going back now, making picks here.
Yeah. Who do you like? Let's just go both. Who do you like to meet in the finals? And just, pick your winner too.
All right, so from the Eastern Conference, I'm going to go with the Philadelphia 76ers and MVP runner-up Joel Embiid. So I think that
you think they're going to the finals?
I do.
God.
So yeah, I've got this
every time you do things.
Man, it's Doc Rivers, man. It's the Doc Rivers thing.
Every time I think that you can't get any say crazier shit, you remind me why I respect and appreciate you so much.
It's so wild for me to pick the number 1 seed to make the finals, and I have them losing to the Los Angeles Lakers after they take care of their Clippers in 6 games, and I have them beating Philly in 6 as well. So give me the Lakers in 6 over Philadelphia.
You got the Lakers in 6 over Philadelphia. So what I'm going to say is I don't have either of the favorites in the NBA Finals. I have Philly playing Utah in the NBA Finals. And let me explain to you why. There's one very specific thing that I think is going to come into play here when you talk about Philly and Utah. There's 3 teams in the playoffs that are allowing more than 12% of their fans to be in stadiums. 2 of those teams, the Philadelphia 76ers, are allowing their capacity to be at 50%. The Utah Jazz is allowing their capacity to be at 71%. All these teams have not experienced a true road experience in a very, very long time. I like, in a long series, a battle-tested team, talking specifically in the Eastern Conference Finals. This Brooklyn team, I get it. Kyrie's won, hit the biggest shot or the second biggest shot in NBA history. Durant's won titles. Harden obviously it's well documented his struggles. Those three players have only played 8 games together. Man, Philadelphia's defense, they're number one in defensive efficiency. All of their starters, top to bottom, are top 5 at their position, or 5 or better in defensive efficiency. Now, look, offensively, they're not as strong, but Embiid is, when he's healthy, he was the best player in the NBA this year. So he would have won the MVP if he could have stayed healthy. I'm going with Philly. And Utah, this Utah team is very similar to those Warriors teams. They shoot a lot of threes. Matter of fact, they broke a record for the most 3-pointers per game in NBA history this year at 16.5-ish. They also had the best defensive efficiency against 3-pointers. So the teams they played hit the fewest threes. So they're hitting about 7 threes per game more than the competition. I think the Lakers, that's their Achilles heel is 3-point shooting. Utah is a highly their defense is outstanding. They have an emerging superstar in Donovan Mitchell. I like Philly. I like Utah. With all that being said, Philly has the formula to win. They got 2 superstar players. They got a coach with experience. They got a team who's gotten a little bit better year after year, roughly, and they're getting to their apex. I like Philly to beat Utah 5, maybe 6 tops.
Yeah, I like it. It's an interesting take on stadium capacity, or arena capacity, and we'll see if it bears out.
Well, the Lakers and the Nets are only allowed to have 10% capacity.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean,
but look, that could change.
Lakers games aren't rough and rowdy anyway.
I hear you, but here's the thing that obviously I'm taking
Brooklyn fans would be.
I'm taking this into consideration on May 17th. 6 weeks from now, or whatever, 4 or 5 weeks from now, when these teams play, it could be different, right? They could all these teams could be at 100% capacity. So, it may not be as big of a factor, but I have to go with the information I have today. So, and I like it.
I like it too. I like it too. It's a little, it's a little against the grain. So I'm always a fan of those types of things. And, by no means.
I feel like that was a backhanded fucking compliment you just
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was just stating a fact.
I know you're lying because your voice went up 6 octaves on that.
But I by no means think Utah is like the Falcons were, or I'm sorry, the Hawks a few years ago when, they won 62 games and had their entire starting 5 was the Eastern Conference Player of the Week one week.
Al Horford and Kyle
I think they're much better than teams like that, So or that 1 seed Celtics team when LeBron.
I mean, Donovan Mitchell's
when LeBron beat him.
He's a borderline top 10 player in the NBA.
Yeah, he's up there. I'll say top 20. He's pretty safely inside the top 20.
I said borderline.
And Gobert's one of the few big guys that will do the dirty work and not bitch about things on the other side of the ball. So
yeah, he gets paid $27 million a year to get 11 rebounds and block 3 shots. So yeah. Of course he's not gonna bitch.
And Conley takes them to a whole other level.
Well, he's taken them to, and their bench, their role players. Man, I really like that team. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them because it's Utah, because it's sleepy Utah. Their games are on late. Nobody watches. I think if you would go out and ask 10 casual fans, people that don't watch NBA on a regular basis, who the number 1 seed was in the Western Conference, they would probably tell you it was the Clippers, the Lakers. They wouldn't even be able to tell you the Suns were 2.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And that's, I mean, like I said, I think that they're much better than a team that deserves to be slept on like that. Jordan Clarkson is a ballin' this year. So
he got some new neck tats.
and he had space
he He is all tatted up. All right, so just for we unpacked a lot there. You got the Lakers over Philly in 6.
Yes.
I got Philly over Utah. I want to say 5, but I'm going to say 6. I like Philly over Utah in 6. You got anything else?
I don't think so.
Don't forget at WC Sports Pod, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Like, follow, subscribe. We are available on all your favorite streaming platforms. Anywhere that you can consume podcasts, you can find us. We are also available on the Believe Podcast Network, #1 podcast network for professionals. Check us out today at Believe.com. That's BLEAV. And as always, we are presented by BetOnline.ag. With that, we love you and enjoy your lives.
LeBron James back-to-back cheers. Somebody suck me.